Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Below the Surface. I'm your host, Darshna Kamani, and we have a great show lined up for you today. However, before we start, I cannot forget my co-host, Stephanie Cavigliano. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thanks, Darshna. Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? Let us know where you're tuning in from and how you're doing in the chat. So, Darshna, holiday season has officially started. I myself am very excited. In fact, I parked myself right next to the Christmas tree this morning. Are you getting ready for the holidays?
I am indeed. I love this time of year. Cannot wait. Not sure I can say I'm quite ready, but the delivery guy has definitely become my new best friend. I mean, I think I see him more than my own family, especially during lockdown. I know this year is going to be really different, but special nonetheless. It's definitely a special time of year. How about you?
Yep, gearing up to stay put with some good Christmas movies and, as always, some delicious food for the Christmas season.
Of course, right. Before we get carried away and start talking about our favorite desserts, shall we carry on with today's show?
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Before we do that, a quick reminder that our audience today, you can ask questions in the comments section or feel free to just say hello. And again, let us know where you're tuning in from. It's always good to get a glimpse into where you guys are located. So also, we'd love to hear your plans for the holiday season and, of course, your favorite Christmas treat.
Most definitely. Or even maybe your favorite Christmas movie. I cannot believe we are on our last episode of the year. Obviously, we will be back next year. We have covered so many topics over the last few months. Make sure you check them out on the Barracuda LinkedIn page. So this one feels like a real nice way to wrap up the year.
So for today's show, we're going to be discussing what we've seen over the last year, how cyber attacks have changed, and more importantly, what we need to keep an eye on for the coming year. And of course, remote work has been huge this year for all of us. So we'll get some insights into how we can carry on doing that as securely as possible as well.
I mean, some really interesting and timely topics. It should be a really great conversation. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Fleming Shi, Barracuda's Chief Technology Officer, but becoming really famous, appearing on CNBC last week. But more importantly, my daughter is super excited to hear Fleming talk today. And of course, our newbie to the Barracuda family, Sinan Eren, who was the CEO of FIDE and now part of the Barracuda family as VP of Zero Trust Access. Welcome to the show, Fleming and Sinan.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me back.
Thank you, Darshna. Stephanie, glad to be here.
Yep.
We're so excited to have you both on the show today. Now, before we get started on the questions that we want to ask you, can you both tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Sure. I can get started first. First of all, I have been with Barracuda for a long time, and started from 2004 to now. Really, we have seen a lot of changes and transformations. And the technology, the products that we build to really kind of make sure we're helping our customers on their journey is really what we do. So the technology innovation, building the right products and solutions is really, really key for us. So I'm really glad to be here to talk a little about the current challenges and especially passing this pandemic. Glad to be here. Thank you very much on that. Yeah.
All right, so I could say a little bit about myself. I've been a 20-year veteran of 20 plus at this point, a veteran of cybersecurity. Started in my late teens as a hobbyist. That's what it was back in the early mid 90s. Cybersecurity wasn't really a domain by itself. But then I've been in positions on defending networks, on offensive side of the equation, being part of a penetration testing consultancy, but also been through the vendor side, building security tooling and solutions to protect against all kind of challenges in the cyber domain.
Awesome. Some amazing background. And I cannot wait to hear your insights. It's been a real interesting year in all aspects. So looking at cybersecurity, of course, Fleming, can you tell us some of the key threats and trends that you have seen in 2020, those that really stand out?
Sure, definitely. I think, in 2020, I can't believe it's almost over. We're coming to December now. So if you look at the pandemic, it really kind of drove a lot of unwanted, phishing attacks, spear phishing attacks, all the way to ransomware attacks on healthcare, various different, I would say, angles for the bad guys to really take advantage of and build on fear, build on obviously impersonation, including attacking logistics. Various different angles they actually applied in their strategy. Unfortunately, not everybody's ready, and you saw a lot of victims, right? I mean, in the recent days, you probably hear a lot of news, but generally, I think it has something to do with people are less prepared working from home. Everyone suddenly have to start, doing their job at home, and the home network is obviously could be an open season, quote unquote. Could be for the bad guys. They actually can find ways in. So in general, I think 2020 is being really tough for cybersecurity and making sure your network, your data are secure is one. It's always on top of our minds. But really carrying on to the next year, I think we have to be better prepared. And also the attacks related to COVID-19 will not stop because that life cycle has not ended yet. It's just coming towards, I think, is the beginning of the end, but it's not the end yet. So we have to continue to be careful over there. Yeah.
Sinan, how about yourself?
Right. I could say that home networks are now part of the enterprise attack surface. It started towards, I would say that this trend started towards the tail end of 2020. Remote work has already been popular, or flexible work. You work a couple of days from home, or you travel a lot. You connect from hotel rooms and lobbies, and in quick access to resources from a Starbucks when you're fueling up for coffee. So it's already been very flexible, but now that with the lockdowns and the shelter in place, we are all working from home. Therefore, the home networks started to become a lot more of a valid attack service and a risk factor for our organizations, for our employers. Right, but if we're talking strictly about 2020, I would say because of the last 4 years, there's the social dynamics in not just the United States, but also the rest of the world. There has been a lot of exploitation of social fault lines, right? You hear about the occasional teenager making a ton of money out of Moldova selling, political T-shirts about the UK, Brexit, and United States. So that also become an interesting vector, leveraging social media and the trust chains built around social media to basically, use it for phishing attacks, spear phishing attacks, leveraged as a beachhead into compromising an organization. Was the trends that I observed in 2020.
So the pandemic obviously has changed the way we work, but has also really influenced the attacks themselves. And Fleming, as you were saying, there are plenty of COVID-themed attacks this year that we're continuing to see. Did you observe any innovative tactics that were used by the attackers that stand out?
Well, I think one of the key things is how they actually build up their infrastructure and get access to resources to mount these attacks. I think the innovation they have, for example, we did a study on a particular botnet and how they interact, how they replicate, right? So I think later on we'll talk a little bit about, we have some slides to show, but the key there is that the attacks are not necessarily just purely based on their own resources. They're looking for places to penetrate. And once they penetrate, they can actually use reputable environments to actually mount these attacks. And this is why zero trust is becoming so important. Like Sinan said, the home networks could be the entry points to get to your workers, your employees. From there, then they can get to data. That's one thing for sure. And then they can, if they want some quick money, they can do ransomware attack. But if they want to utilize your environment to actually make additional attacks as a recon mission, I think there's basically unlimited amount of things they can do, right? So spear phishing, going down to building a botnet that basically infiltrates multiple systems and networks, hiding behind reputable brands and environments, utilizing public cloud the same way the good guys utilizing public cloud, and all those things are things we're concerned about. But they're definitely API first, very modern, developers who understands how to utilize the cloud and utilize whatever resources they can get their hands on.
Sinan, anything you've noticed particularly innovative this year?
Right. as far as the COVID team attacks goes, we've seen an interesting approach through out-of-band messaging. I mean, email has always been, of course, critical, but also the solution sets, the defensive solutions for email security has also been quite robust. We advanced the state of the art in that, but therefore the attackers we see are shifting to out-of-band messaging, such as WhatsApp, SMS message. They can, purchase an API key to a vendor, SMS gateway vendor like Twilio. They can, send out these COVID team scare tactics, get them to click on things, get them to log into things, or volunteer their credentials, all through SMS or exploiting the trust chain that's already established on WhatsApp, right? If you convince one person to forward that message to 50 of their close friends, then it starts to propagate very fast. So that was another interesting trend and COVID team trend that we saw. So you squat a good domain about the highly anticipated vaccine. You send it out as a text message, you send it out as a WhatsApp message, and then you see it propagate within that trust chain of friends and family, targeting millions of people in one go.
I mean, by the sounds of it, obviously the threat landscape is growing immensely. So we've looked at 2020. Looking forward, Sinan, what do you see as key trends for 2021?
Right. I'll actually tell you a quick anecdote of my family, right? We're getting ready for the holiday seasons, and the kids insisted that this year we deploy some Wi-Fi enabled Christmas lights, right? I mean, as if we needed another IoT gadget on the home network. Really, it was a hard sell, but they always win. They manage. So now I had to onboard this thing, right? As the IT person in the house, right? I have to onboard it. They want to enjoy it. I have to onboard it. So the first thing I noticed that this mobile application I had to install in my phone, they didn't really have a very well branded vendor, right? It might be a fly-by night vendor that might disappear in 2 years down the road or 2 months down the road, right? But anyhow, okay, suck it up and install the app. First thing they asked was precise location of my home. Okay, I don't like that, but volunteered it because they apparently used my location to pick up my network name. So they picked up my SSID. Next question was to volunteer my network password so they can connect those light bulbs into my home network. So now I guess you're seeing where I'm going with this, right? There is a vendor out there, which I cannot clearly identify, probably in some cloud storage, open bucket to the whole world potentially, right? It might be an AWS S3 bucket without any protection, has my Wi-Fi network, my home address, precise location, and my Wi-Fi password. So what I see as the trend going into 2021 is that somebody's going to leveraging one of those big data breaches, is going to hack into an executive's home or a critical employee's home and going to breach as a lateral move. The term is island hopping. You basically compromise my little island here in my home, and then from here, using some sort of a site-to-site VPN or a persistent access tunnel, somebody's going to breach into a company, and it's going to be a very high-profile event. So I believe in 2021, we're going to see the first home network island hopping incidents.
Definitely sounds scary. Fleming, anything more to add to that?
Well, definitely from the point that Sinan had pointed out, the island hopping concept and where does the hacker go is what I'm always concerned about. So one of the major reasons working from home is actually working is that everyone's using SaaS, right? People are using SaaS applications to do their job. And these massive amount of SaaS adoption really means the other end where the SaaS is offered has a really powerful infrastructure, globally available. So how do we protect those environments is one of those things that are always on my mind, right? So finding the root cause of why these attacks happen, where do they mount their attacks? I think that the adoption of SaaS really created this energy around making sure application is secure, the developers are doing things correctly in the cloud. Are you really connected securely, not just VPNing, but within the VPN tunnel, is there a way to identify any type of threats? So for 2021, we need to pay more attention to really secure your infrastructure, your applications, the SaaS that you are offering the people who are using your SaaS to do their job, right? Let's say we're Salesforce, right? We have an application. Let's say we're Microsoft, we have OneDrive and SharePoint. All these solutions are really powerful today. And because of that, we need to really protect those folks. Therefore, eliminate and root out all the potential botnets and attackers. infiltrated into these environments. And I have to give credit to Microsoft. They were talking about taking down trick bots and all those things a few weeks ago. But if you look at it, it already revived itself. It's in full capacity again. Why? Because they are really hard to put down. So paying attention to that is something that I really think in 2021 we need to drive awareness on that beyond just spear phishing attacks and ransomware attacks, but really about how to stop at the root of the problem. Yeah.
So Fleming, with news of a vaccine and some hope for a better 2021, how do you think that this will impact the threats we see next year?
Yeah, I think vaccine, if you look at the attackers, they're never taking a break. It feels like they already got vaccinated or something. They're always on, right? They're looking for ways to get into the pandemic and continue to utilize fear, trust, very even brevity to say, hey, you trust me. Look, my message is really, really clean and it's really trustworthy. I think the attackers are going to continue to utilize that. And vaccine really connects with economic recovery, if you think of it, right? So if we are not able to, recover properly, I feel like the bad guys are going to take advantage of this vaccine period of the pandemic and really carry on and really try to squeeze out another big payday within this pandemic. But economic recovery comes with stimulus, packages and various, I will say, financial help to small businesses, in which most of the small businesses might be vulnerable, not beyond just the pandemic, but also cybersecurity attacks, right? So really, I think we need to address that and continued rising ransomware payments, insurance, cyber insurance. All these things are unfortunately feeding the bad guys, with whatever they need to continue their campaigns, and also really various new attacks that could be very costly to the whole world.
Yeah, some great points. Sinan, what do you think we'll see next year?
I think the scare tactics around the vaccine, the 5G deployments, you name it, all sort of crazy conspiracies will just go into overdrive. It's been lucrative. It's been working for the attackers, for the crime syndicates, if you will. They will leverage ad networks to push out some more of this conspiracy. And once again, since the individual is now an extension of the enterprise, of the business, right? Is that any way that they can get to the individual is actually a potential beachhead to laterally move into the organization, right? So we cannot say that defending the organizational perimeter is not enough anymore, right? We work from home. All of us are today connecting from our home offices. So that means that an individual compromise, we used to segregate security between consumer and corporate and enterprise, right? But it's all one now. It's all one thing. If they get to your employees through these tactics, they can then literally move into your organization. So we have to really think about what trust means, what the corporate perimeter means going forward from here, right? Your individual employee now represents a set of data for the attacker, right? It's not just about how much they can extract from their credit card, but how much further they can move into compromising more information.
Okay, some really interesting points there. And before we get too excited about 2021 and maybe some of the positivity it will bring, I guess we should look at some of the lessons learned from 2020. So Sinan, 2020 was the year of remote working. What lessons can we learn from going to remote work?
Right, we definitely need to increase the cyber hygiene around our home networks. That becomes very clear and evident, right? Most of us, might have inherited a subsidized Wi-Fi router from our service provider. We don't know it's up to date. We don't know it's already running some sort of a botnet, right? There has been a lot of Wi-Fi router vulnerabilities that were exploited en masse. So we have no idea about our employees' home networks, which is now an extension of work, right? It used to be the occasional, BYOD, work from home, quickly check mail kind of a thing. No, now it's persistent, right? Every day, all day in and out, we connect from our home networks and access work data, work products, right? So therefore, I would say that the hygiene around home networks, or maybe to rethink whether we trust the network or not, is definitely going to be critical to continue on this trajectory of, perhaps permanent work from home or longer work from home than we're used to traditionally. I will also say a couple things is that the supply chain, for example, under COVID, under the lockdown and shelter in place, when I mean supply chain, we couldn't ship laptops fast enough to our employees, right? You onboard somebody, well, some organizations, especially a lot of small and mid-sized businesses, had to say, okay, you know what, use your home computer. I'm not able to ship you a laptop, right? I'm not able to onboard you like I traditionally do to my, on-premises employees. So that also bring now these shared computers with your spouse, with your children, onto the corporate environment. So again, the home hygiene, the DIOD, the unmanaged device hygiene is going to be critical going forward.
Fleming, how about yourself?
Yeah, I was going to just add a few things. I think I'm going to go a little further than Sinan. Well, when he says think about trusting the home network, I say just really think about not trusting the home network at all, because really the networking segmentation at home is you're on the same network, same Wi-Fi as your like the light bulbs and smart devices, and those devices really. You really have to really understand those devices are not made with all the security elements that's needed to operate. So what really is needed is at a device level. Think of bring your own device, bring your own network now. This is not beyond BYOD, it's BYON, bring your own network. So really think about not trusting that network and really apply the policy that matters related to your device, whether it's on the right patch level, if it's actually in the right, got antivirus installed or got all the right proper things in there to actually qualify access to the SaaS applications that you're providing to your employees. And it's no longer just about VPN connection, building that network segmentation, but also if that device or the user had dropped on their security posture, we should basically block their SaaS application access. Certain data should not be available. Maybe OneDrive should not sync. Right? Think about that. Just genuinely, I think BYON world, really bring your own network, is really dangerous. In 2021, we need to rethink how to help our customers because, like Sinan said, people will be working from home. There will be flexible, ways to work from home. Some of the tech companies actually have declared maybe majority of their engineers or whoever are going to work from home, maybe for as long indefinitely, right? And guess what? Engineers and developers and SREs or DevOps, they all have access to your infrastructure as well. So making the island hopping from bring your own network to be made very easy for the bad guys. So that said, I think I'll go a little further to make sure really don't trust the network, but build a new way of applying security is using zero trust. Yeah.
So let's stay on this topic. Sinan, what do you think the future is for remote work? Can we expect more of the same next year?
I completely agree with Fleming. I mean, remote work is here to stay. I know personally a large subset of my friends and some even coworkers making these decisions to move, right? They moved to a mountaintop with a gigabit internet connection, right? Because they made some investment in lifestyle changes because of this this belief that remote work is here to stay, right? So I don't think it's going anywhere even after the vaccine and we finally get out of this COVID, lockdowns and shelter in place. And more companies I see actually pitching remote work as a perk almost, right? It's a plus. They give employees options to, have some adjustments, whether they're comp or some of the way that they work during the work hours, whatever it is, they found these flexible arrangements when employees can remain working remotely. I don't know where that's going to go in the next 3 to 5 years, but certainly in the foreseeable future, we're going to have a lot more employees remote work. And then you have some companies that actually promote not having an office, right? 1,500 employees, fast growing, and employees over 150 countries, yet no office, right? So there's a lot more of this in Silicon Valley, Bay Area, in New York. You hear companies are open to that. Therefore, just to add on what Fleming was saying, therefore we should really have a shift in our thinking as what is trusted and what is not trusted. And perhaps the right way to approach this is that everything is untrusted until it's verified to be trusted, right? And when you say verify, it's not like once in a point in time, no, continuously verified to be trusted, because you don't know the context. Your employee works from home one day, another day works from the slopes, skiing down somewhere. So you really don't know what environment, what kind of machine, what kind of device they're using. Are they accessing Salesforce through a hotel lobby computer, which they might be on vacation somewhere, right? So you got to make sure that everything is considered untrusted, and we really need to change the way that we say, oh, it's a company-owned device. No, that era is gone. We're really moving into BYOD, BYON, bring your own everything, basically.
Fleming, I pose the same question to you. What do you think the future of remote work is?
It's going to be, I think, very flexible, I would say. A lot of the tech workers are very productive. I can see Barracuda Engineering doing great things throughout the pandemic. I can tell you, every company is a software company today. Everybody's building software. There's a lot of developers, and remote work is crucial, actually. To Sinan's point, actually, in California, it's 2-to-1 ratio. People moving out of California versus people moving in. I mean, you just think about it that way, right? So that means remote work is here to stay. So zero trust is definitely an important thing. And remember, I'm going to go back to the botnet discussion real quick, because botnets in the old days, they utilize your infrastructure to do, crypto mining. This is one of the biggest things they used to do, right? Then eventually they got into, whoa, DDoS attack. I can actually sell my weapons to take down certain websites. But today's world, they can send spear phishing. They can do those things, which is low calorie if you think of it. Doesn't require a lot of compute power. So guess where that compute comes from? So I have a couple of slides I'd like to bring up real quick. So kind of little pivot from how to think about botnets. Bot distribution by time of day. Bots are always active. This, by the way, is a great report from our team for web applications. This is related to our advanced bot protection. Really what it means is that bots are active. A lot of times they're managed by humans, right? They actually is active all the way until 5 p.m. Then they go to dinner, and then bots may go to dinner too. But my point there is that botnets today, they don't necessarily always have to live in powerful environments. They can live in your ARM-based device, smart device that's running on batteries in your house. You can live in an Android device. For example, another slide behind this, I can show you a little piece there related to the weapons behind it. If we can advance to that infographics, that'd be great. But the concept there is that within that bot, you will see API first, right? The bots are built with APIs, so they can actually talk to each other. They have command control. They have their own protocols. They figure out ways to replicate themselves. And just imagine how many light bulbs you will have in your house, how many smart switches. They can build a sizable, weapon, people from just having infiltrated people's homes. So that said, don't get weaponized by the bad guys. That way, to a corporation, it's even more important. If your cloud environment gets weaponized, guess what happens? Your IP address, your reputable domain can end up on block lists, right? People will block you because you are mounting attacks and things like that. So generally speaking, I think it's really important to pay attention to what you have. And remember, employees can get weaponized because impersonation happens, just like the cold chain attack recently on the vaccine. The Chinese CEO got impersonated using a fake domain by the real name, right? But also resources can be weaponized, your home network devices, as well as your cloud environments. So that is the concern I have for working remotely, because more people working from homes, you're going to have more home networks. And also they will be using more SaaS. Guess what? With more SaaS, you have more cloud, more power. So, if I'm an attacker, I'm like, wow, this is great. I have all these resources to get to, right? So just to pinpoint that point there, I just wanted to make sure people hear that.
And I mean, I think it's clear that remote working is here to stay. There's definitely been an acceleration since the pandemic.
Yeah.
And like you said, Fleming, public cloud and the adoption of public cloud has definitely increased in this time. Organizations wanting to be more flexible to the new way of working. What does this mean in terms of security? Sinan, what are your thoughts here?
I think public cloud and more SaaS applications, cloud-hosted SaaS applications, are actually good for organizational security, but most importantly for productivity, right? But unfortunately, they're also very powerful new technologies that a lot of companies struggle with configuring them correctly, right? So this kind of configuration challenges leads to what might at first look like a trivial security incident, like having open storage buckets that are exposed to the world, or having internal resources with public accessible IP addresses. It might sound like things that we already sold in the legacy world. While you had a DMZ, you put a firewall. No, but now we're adapting to this new environment with a much more complexities involved. We're basically, unfortunately, reverting to our old mistakes. Like a lot of configuration challenges, even in a SaaS application, to secure a SaaS application, to enable two-factor authentication, to integrate it with an SSO, to do the permissions, and to give the least privileges to your users. It's a challenging ordeal. So a lot of companies are struggling with it. Overall, public cloud and SaaS has been great. It's part of this new digital revolution. But unfortunately, because of the complexity, because of all these additional innovation and tooling around these technologies, we've been suffering from configuration mistakes in big time. Also, if you look at the notion that we had this legacy definition of the perimeter, right? You had the company data center, you had a DMZ, you have internal resources, you lay one network security technology over another, and you were able to protect everything within that perimeter. However, that got all flattened and distributed, right? Now we have availability zones in multiple regions. Now we have multi-cloud. You might be getting better pricing from cloud vendor 1 versus cloud vendor 2, and then you might split your workloads between those. So now we really need to think about how we can secure in this distributed world through a global policy that spans across these cloud server providers and SaaS applications, and then secure them with a understandable, readable, comprehensible global security policy, rather than deploying, here is a little point solution, here's another point solution, and try to configure them and try to manage them one by one. You need something that's a bit more global, that spans across your public cloud and SaaS solutions.
Fleming, you brought up public cloud. So what are your thoughts around the security around that?
Yeah, public cloud is powerful, but it's just as powerful for the bad guys, and bad guys are preying on us. So the key here, just like Sinan said, utilizing these environments, you got to do it with some security posture management tools to make sure you don't have misconfiguration and mishaps, because the consequences is you can tarnish your reputation. The attacks can originate from your environment. So to me, secure connectivity, building a proper SD-WAN, understand what it means to build a SD-WAN and how to measure security within these connections. It's not just VPN, just doing IPsec and getting network segmentation, but also understand what's going on inside the connection is really, really important. This is why we have a solution now, making SD-WAN really easily consumable. With Microsoft, we built this thing called CloudGen WAN, making sure if you want to build SD-WAN, utilize that solution, leverage Azure. Azure has built plenty of data centers, right? Nobody can build data centers faster and better than Amazon and Microsoft and these guys. And I think, if you want to build a better connectivity story with security involved, that's the right approach. And of course, and I think public cloud is constantly evolving. So these configurations are getting harder. You can be blindsided with the new feature you just forgot. And these are the things that we want to address with a security posture management tool. Yeah.
So Sinan, building on what Fleming was just talking about, when we think about connectivity, of course, with all of this remote work, we have to kind of maybe change the way we're thinking about secure connectivity. What are your thoughts around that?
Right. This notion of persistent secure connectivity doesn't really fit with the new reality anymore, right? Because we have a point-in-time authentication of our users, maybe do a quick posture analysis on the end device, but then these sessions are usually long-lived, right? You might go through your SSO, you might go through a 2FA, authenticate yourself, and then have this 2-week-long session, right? Therefore, you have a 2-week window of opportunity for an attacker to use that existing established connectivity, that session, to kind of breach and further move into whether to your VPC or VNet in the public cloud, or some on-prem environment, or access your SaaS applications. So this long-lived nature of access needs to really transform into more about verify continuously before granting access, right? So essentially, you can say that there is not a single point of time that I say that I attest to the fact that you're my user A and you're my device that's sanctioned by IT. No, it needs to be continuously evaluated because the context changes all the time, right? You might be connecting from a different Wi-Fi, you might be at a different location. There might be a critical hotfix that you need to deploy on your PC that might expose within that 2 weeks of the activity window your organization to attacks, right? So you should be able to say, hey, your device's context is not secure anymore. You need to push this update in. You need to install this hotfix, then grant access again. So we really need to transform our thinking about connectivity. It shouldn't be persistent. It shouldn't be a point-in-time authentication, but continuous authentication and continuous verification and continuous authorization, whether you can have access to what you need given this current context that you're in.
So Sinan, carrying on that conversation around access and trust, and I guess, again, from working at home, people using more collaboration tools, which, as you mentioned earlier, is open to all sorts of threats. Can you explain the notion of zero trust?
Sure, happy to. If you look back, work has been within 4 walls of the office, right? You had a server room with racks. You have your, servers and blades, and all within the same network that you literally sit in, right? I mean, that's going back to 10, 15, 20 years ago. Even that was the norm. You come to a branch office. The branch offices have connectivity between each other, but everything was within the perimeter. Right, then you might have had some additional data center capacity, but then you'll have a lease line of some sort, or maybe some sort of a persistent site-to-site VPN tunnel to these extra compute allocations that your company might have. But nonetheless, you are all within this notion of perimeter, right? The 2 walls, if you can switch to the next slide, like you're within the walls, within the perimeter, right? And access was all done inside this trusted perimeter. So, everything is easy kind of to understand. You can put in a firewall, you can put in a DDoS prevention appliance, you can lay basically network security appliances over one on top of, because the ingress, where everything is coming in, right? Exactly where the openings of your perimeter are, or at least I hope you do at the time, right? But now it changed, of course. Now we work from everywhere, right? It used to be maybe that road warrior sales guy that has to connect remotely. You give this person a VPN client, but now everybody is remote, and now we have also many more SaaS applications, which is definitely not within your perimeter. It's hosted and maintained and managed by a third party, a vendor that you trust, right? So the old assumption doesn't work anymore. The SaaS applications are not within your corporate perimeter, and your employees, especially in this new normal, in this shelter in place, they're not within the perimeter. So everybody's accessing remotely. Therefore, they are a potential risk factor. They're part of your attack surface now, wherever they are. Through breaching them, a ransomware, for example, can literally move into the organizational network, right, to your enterprise network, the on-prem network, or to your public cloud VPCs and VNets. It can all literally move from your employees wherever they might be. So we really need to change our thinking around this and assume every network that my employees and even my resources that are connected, my SaaS applications, my employees, in this new paradigm, everything is considered untrusted, right? Everybody's outside the perimeter. Actually, there is no perimeter, right? So therefore, you need to validate. You need to verify before you grant access, right? It's kind of the inverse, NSA adage, right? When they say trust but verify, no. First verify, then trust, right? That becomes the new paradigm. Therefore, you can kind of abstract away this notion of network. There is no internal network. There is no secure perimeter. Everything is untrusted unless they are verified, and then you can connect them together. And then you can grant access.
That's great. Fleming, any thoughts on how companies can go about implementing these security checks that Sinan was talking about?
Oh, yeah, definitely. First of all, I totally see the future, what Sinan had described. Like everyone is working, bring your own network, but you are accessing the SaaS. But the reality still have some time to get there. I understand not every customer is using all SaaS yet, right? Maybe they're using some SaaS. So we at Barracuda, we have solutions to allow you to really ramp up and really kind of get to the point where Sinan have described, the world where nothing's trusted, but really continuously verify based on your posture, on the endpoint, on the device, on the user. So implementing such thing, it requires a little bit of planning. Of course, Barracuda has many customers, right? 200,000 plus customers in there, and what we want to make sure is we provide solution to step into the zero trust future, and hence why I think that's why we're so happy to have Faid and Sinan here with Barracuda, because the solutions we provide today already landed in the customer's hands, and they're already very cloud centric, native. And as we build forward, we want to layer on these new future zero trust based solutions in place. For example, if you already own a Barracuda Cloud Gen 1 firewall or Cloud Gen firewall, or even Cloud Gen 1, you can activate zero trust as easily as clicking a button, really kind of just deploy, right? And one of the nicest thing about the solution from Cloud Gen Access from Sinan is that it doesn't use that much battery. Your system will actually be happy, right? So the point there is the approach is very unique, and therefore make people want to use it. So the end users are actually enjoying using that solution instead of, oh, my battery is running out, so guess what? I got to plug in somewhere, right? So he can be in a nice backyard, for example. So that said, really we have solution in place to get people to the place where we want to go. Right, and it's really important that Barracuda continue to invest in this type of solution in the future. So we're positioned in the right place to help every one of those 200,000 plus customers to get into zero trust policy management in the future for cybersecurity protection. Yeah. Darshna, I think you are muted. Yeah.
Give us a sound check, Darshna. If not, I'll take it away. I can't hear her. Can you guys? Nope. All right. So time is running out. Guys, unfortunately, this has been such a fascinating conversation. We could talk all day. But before we let you go, it does sound like the home network is really the new frontier, right? We're all bringing our own networks to work now. So when it comes to security, what advice can you give organizations for the coming year? Sinan, I'll let you go first.
Sure, I'll be quick about this. So perhaps consider subsidizing some of the very old Wi-Fi hardware, if possible, right? And educate your users. Security awareness is critical. Run phishing simulations, whatever is necessary to get them to be more aware is critical. But most importantly, I think we really need some new tooling around remote access, right? Remote secure access. So whether this is for internal applications, your private applications, your private data sets, or for your SaaS applications, you really need to think around new tooling that takes you on this journey of zero trust, right? It's not going to happen overnight, as Fleming was saying, but we can get you started on a journey to get you to zero trust. So invest in tooling that continuously verify access before granting your employees to access to a SaaS application or an on-prem network. Evaluate the context, evaluate the environment, evaluate the device posture, and if everything is conforming, let them have access, let them get the work done.
Yeah.
Excellent. Fleming.
Yeah, I think from human to data, this the whole chain. It has to be considered for cybersecurity. Continues to focus on driving awareness training because attackers, like Sinan mentioned earlier, the social dynamic, how people connect to each other matters. It's no longer about the corporate; it's about the individual who is part of the business. Then all the way to data. How are you securing your data? Are you encrypting your data so the ransomware attack doesn't come back with, "Hey, I got your data. I can publish it." Things like that. Your customer data, because you could be running software that is considered SaaS that has customer data in it. So through that lens, I think every aspect related to what we do from home and every attack surface needs to reconsider the whole concept of trust-based, security posture management constantly, and the overall architecture has to really start shifting. Doesn't have to be done, but start shifting, adding the tools like Sinan mentioned to address the home networks. And for that, I think that will be my recommendation. Yeah.
Some excellent suggestions. Thank you both. Well, Fleming, Sinan, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you both here on the show today. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
It's wonderful. Thank you.
All right, Darshna, can you take us out?
Hopefully you can hear me. I think as Fleming was talking about batteries running out, my battery on my AirPods ran out at the same time. So thank you so much, Fleming and Sinan. I really hope you all enjoyed today's show and it has helped prepare you for 2021. Remember, you can watch all of our LinkedIn shows from the Barracuda LinkedIn page. But for now, that leaves me to say, until next time, have a safe journey and, of course, happy holidays.
See you next year.